for like 2 years.
You know how it feels. 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Is he okay though?
Yeah, Noah's fine.
Okay.
He was starting to get that crazy cough and he
Yep.
had a fever for like a day and a
Oh,
half.
no.
And so
Oh, yeah.
we took him in just to be.
Good.
It was more
Yeah, I guess I'm going to transcribe too.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't any stop recording, stop transcription. I'll do that.
Okay,
Okay,
we are recording.
we're recording.
So before I officially call the meeting to order, I do want to recognize that we are recording. We are going to start uploading the meetings to our SharePoint,
To the city's website.
to the city's website. So, awesome. You've been warned. So let's officially call to order the May 16th, 2024 meeting of the Bothell Arts Commission. I would like to acknowledge our hybrid format with Mary Beth calling in, so please help me, but also we'll keep it rolling the way we normally do. I am going to do roll call as soon as I pull it up. Got that part? Amazon. Okay. Okay, let's do the roll call. We'll call by position. Sarah Gamshidi, I said that wrong, I apologize. Position 1 is currently not here. Kylie Chang, position 2. Here. Hillary Long, position 3, I am here. Kelly Atkinson, position 4 is excused for this meeting. Holly Hughes, position 5.
Here.
Mary Beth Turk, position 6.
Here.
Nikita, position 7 is
Excuse.
excused for this meeting. Michelle Lee, position 8. And Jaden Chang, position 9 is also excused for this meeting. Okay. No one's allowed to leave. We don't have quorum if you do. Next, can we move on to the approval of agenda in order and content?
I will second.
Any discussion? Okay, all of those in favor? That is unanimous. Any opposed? No, thank you. We have approved our agenda. This evening, we have no public comments and no special presentations, and I am remiss, I apologize, Danae. In our roll call, I also didn't mention that our staff liaison is here, so Danae McGee, thank you for being here. I apologize.
No worries.
Rusty.
No worries.
Okay, as of right now, I'm going to hand it over to Mary Beth to do the chair report.
Great. So sorry I can't be there, you guys. Hopefully I'll be there the next month. The one thing I just want to give an update on is at our last meeting, we talked about the opportunity for the Bothell Arts Commission to be meeting with City Council. And that is something that we definitely are looking forward to. It does look, unless today has any new information that I'm not aware of, it does still look like October is the time that we're looking at for that. And then that would inform anything, which would be great timing as we look to do the overall offsite kind of the work with Una in November. So just kind of keep that on your calendar. We'll try to get things, like let people know as soon as we find out that date. And then also we'll try to land on a November timing too, so that people can plan around that. So Danae, did you have anything else that you learned in the last couple of days?
I think that in talking to Una and her availability, I think we tentatively, and this is very tentative because obviously we need to check with the full board, but we're tentatively looking at November 16th.
Okay. Okay, so that would be, we're looking at a full day, correct?
Yeah, probably 6 to 8 hours.
Okay.
So we would provide a meal and coffee and.
Great. So why don't, if everybody could kind of take a look at that, and maybe we follow up with just everybody confirming that at this point, it looks like a good date so that we know there's not a, big family wedding or something else going on to try to work around. Also, the only other thing I just wanted to add in the chair report here is that we did hear back from the Sound Transit folks. We had submitted, there were 4 of you that expressed interest. We passed that information along with direct contact information for all of you. And so we're just waiting for them to get back to you guys directly. They still needed a little bit more time. I think they said like it might be like a month or so before they even reach out. So that's kind of the latest on that front. Okay, back to you, Vice Chair Hillary.
Thank you, Chair Mary Beth. Okay, so moving on to new business. The consideration of the April 18th minutes, which was attachment B in your packet.
I will motion to approve the minutes. I will second that motion.
Okay, any discussion about the minutes? Okay, all of those in favor of adopting the minutes? Okay, it's like, how do you feel about the minutes? Thank you. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. We've adopted our minutes. Okay. New business. This is going to be the bulk of our meeting. Here we go. Welcome to the 2024 grant application juror review and funding allocations round 2. So Danae had sent out all the instructions for Cafe to go through all the applications. So as we learned, that would make for maybe speedier discussion. That being said, are we ready? We have our thoughts. I think let's just, I'm trying to think, should we just start from the top and move down? Thoughts, feelings, or start with the recommended from, I mean, let's be consistent. Let's start with what was recommended, like the top ones that were recommended from the jurors, and we can go from there.
Wait, look at what my computer's doing.
Oh, no. Oh, wow.
On the summary.
Sometimes Excel
Refresh.
does that.
I would go onto the juror summary and then refresh that page.
Okay.
Hey,
Thank you guys, great idea. Okay, so this is the Excel form that was generated by Cafe, which is the platform that's used for submitting for artists to submit all of their applications. It's what the first round jurors used for scoring, and then it's what the Arts Commission used for scoring the second round. For those that were able to take part in the second round jurying, you either scored a yes, a no, or a maybe, which is exactly the same scoring that the first round peer jurors used. If you agreed with the peer jurors' decision, then you would vote yes. If you disagreed, you would vote no. If you weren't sure about the jurors' scores, then you would say maybe. We had 5 commissioners able to take part in the jurying. Nikita, who could not be here today, she is on vacation, and she's our newest commissioner, but she was at our last meeting, so you've had an opportunity to meet her. Michelle, one of our youth commissioners, Hillary, Mary Beth, and Holly. So, having said that, I will like to show that this area in green are the scores where you all voted yes, meaning that you completely agreed with the jurors, because the jurors also voted yes. So these are our top scoring artists. We had we had 2 visual artists and 2 musicians. And I would like to talk a little bit about those artists for Those that were not able to do the jurying, just to familiarize yourself with them. So let me bring that up for you. This time's out, so yeah.
I'd be reading along and then I'd just go away.
Yeah, and Danae, I was just going to say that while you're pulling that up, Danae knows this, but I scored some more as maybe only because the budget was factoring into my head. And so I didn't necessarily go completely along. It doesn't mean I'm opposed to it, but I kind of had some questions about whether we could actually fund everything, right? So
I kind of did the same thing as well, is that there were some that I'm like, maybe, but I have some hesitation, so.
right. Okay.
All right, so the first artist that scored a perfect 3 is Rahini Mathur. And Rahini is requesting $2,400. Let's turn this around so you can see this top scores first. Rahini is a local artist, and she is interested in doing an individual project. The title of her project is Blooms and Winged Wonders Pollinators Fiesta. She hopes to implement her project during the summer of this year, sometime between July and August. And in conversations that I had with her offline, she's interested in doing her project at the park at Bothell Landing. It's her first time doing this project, so it's not something that's been presented in Bothell before. The goal of her project is 2 components. A community collaborative art workshop for youth and adults at Bothell Library, and then a temporary public art installation at Bothell Landing Park. The collaborative workshop includes painting colorful florals and pollinators, birds, bees, and butterflies on a wooden board panel measuring at least 5 feet by 4 feet by teens and adults. The panel will serve as a backdrop, base, and support wall for where I will hang hand-painted wooden pollinator cutouts. I have had some conversations with the Park City staff, and we're brainstorming ideas to have this public art installed at Park for community to view and interact during summer. She doesn't say temporary, but this is a temporary project. The youth kids will create pollinator planter tags and keepsakes at the workshop. The primary goal is to raise awareness and educate about importance of pollinators through art, and also teach different painting techniques such as underpainting, layering, alla prima, wet on wet, stippling, stenciling, and many more. I think the public benefit is self-explanatory. She hopes to promote this through a wide range of people, such as families with young kids, teens, adults, art enthusiasts, flower garden growers, pollinators, anyone who would like to learn. She will promote through the Bothell Library, and then of course through the Parks Department if she receives funding. The project is accessible to underserved communities. She's Southeast Asian and understands the need for diversity and the need for a multidimensional aspect of social and biophysical life. And she's committed to all areas of her art practice and in teaching. She's requesting $2,400, and the funds would be used to cover costs such as materials, any rentals that she would need. She wants to pay herself to lead the classes, but she's also donating $200 of her time to do that. She needs $1,300 for supplies, $130 to promote, $120 for travel and transportation, which includes the U-Haul rental for the transporting the panel to the library and to the park. So her total expenses in this request is $2,500. Questions? Okay.
Real quick, actually, it's not a question, but Before we get too far down the road, can you remind us of exactly how much we have left to spend?
Excellent question. I meant to bring that up. We have $22,333.04.
So 22,300 and,
$33.04. That covers all of the 22
2, 3, 3, 3,
or 4.
Okay, I was like, I heard that right.
That covers the contracts with the artists for round 1. And then we had some administrative costs, such as the jurors. Okay, and I would like to add that the 4 projects in green total $12,263. So if you are all in agreement that you want to fund these 4 at the full amount, we still have funds available to consider further projects. All right, the next project on the list is Connie Baldwin. And Connie is interested in doing a musical festival. It's called the Red Fellow Foundation. It's a nonprofit. She's working right now with her group to formally become a nonprofit, so they're almost there. This is their 3rd year doing the Red Fellow Music Festival. I believe it takes place on her property. She has about 5 acres. She wants to do it, well, she is doing it July 20th from 4 to 8 p.m. She's never done the project as part of anything that we've done, but it is her 3rd year doing it in Bothell. But they are requesting funds for a new or reimagined component, which is what our guidelines specify. If you are doing a project, again, how is it different than before? Each year they work to grow the size of their audience, improve the quality of the artists, and the tools compensation to give them. So they work with emerging artists, performing artists. They're all musicians. This is in honor of her son who was a musician, and he passed away a couple of years ago. So this is the work that they're doing to honor him and all of the emerging artists that he used to play with. Last year, they hired a professional videographer to record each artist's performance and gave artists the files along with professional photos for use in their personal promotional efforts. This year, to better manage budget constraints, we found a volunteer videographer to help us provide artists these marketing tools, and are also looking at getting free partnerships with internet tools to help the artists build the business side of their music. They're working to create more shade for the artists while performing on the outdoor stage, more umbrellas for the audience too. They're requesting $6,000 to cover artist fees, promotional fees, and permit rental fees for the 2024 festival. They feature diverse musical artists who create original work to honor her son, Reed Baldwin. Their goal has never been profit-focused. They want to support musical artists, deliver a great event to the community, and break even on their expenses. Public benefit. Our ticket prices are a great deal for our community. Where else can you listen to 4 hours of music in a country meadow for $25? Other more well-known long-day musical festivals charge $200 to $600. The artists perform 4 original songs or 20 minutes. They are paid a $150 base pay and up to $150 bonus. We want to incentivize them to promote through their social media. In addition, they created an electronic tip fund that is divided among the group's performers. What a great idea. Last year, each group received an additional $65. So this is great for emerging artists to perform. Hi, Sarah. It's okay. I let them know you had another meeting and that you would be late, so no worries at all. Sarah, we're going through the grant applications right now.
Excellent.
They tend to promote the artists and at least the 300 paid ticket attendees and sell 50 t-shirts. Their goal is to break even, and they posted a call to the musicians already and through social media, and they've received 50 artist applications to date. They promote on Eventbrite And they're considering Gold Star ticket platforms. They also promote through newspapers, calendars, community organizations, and more. They have used free social media for most past promotional efforts, and will continue to do so. Their events are accessible in that they are low ticket prices to make it possible for everyone to attend. They rent an ADA toilet and hand wash station. Other restrooms are near the food trucks. The artists, it's hard for artists to perform for an audience interested in their original music. Many cafes and coffee shops gigs require artists to play covers, and customers are focused on food, conversation, rather than tuning into the live music. So that's kind of part of that philosophy that they're committed to. They are requesting $6,000. Here is the budget. So they are looking at $3,000 to pay their artists. They are looking at $500 for the promotion, the printing, and the signage. $2,500 for rentals. This would be event permits, bathroom rental, septic service, stage extensions, venue rental. So that comes to between the supplies and materials and the professional personnel costs, they are requesting $6,000. Their total budget is $42,000. So really great budget considering their total expenses. They do bring in some revenue. Their tickets revenue is $9,000. And Sarah, just to give you a quick update, we have so far discussed 2 of the applicants. These are the scores that are the highest in green. The first one is Rahini Mathur, and she's interested in doing a temporary art installation that will begin with a class at the library with community members, and then the installation will be moved to the park at Bothell Landing, and then another class for younger youth in that part. I think that those are items that will then relate to the project. Pollinators, flowers, she's going to educate about bees and pollinating, and in addition to the art class.
And then the second part, they are individuals or a group?
Groups, both of them are group.
Both of them are groups.
Yeah, excellent question. The second project is a music festival called the Rockefeller Music Festival. It's their 3rd year doing it. It's in Bothell. It's in a meadow or private property on land in Snohomish County, but it is in the city limits. And they are requesting funds for a new or reimagined component to their festival. They give an honorarium to emerging artists. And oh, how can this be happening? Oh, my battery is running low, and I guess it wasn't plugged in. Oh, no, I cannot lose power. Okay. Disaster averted. Sorry about that.
Is it charging?
It's charging, yes, it's charging, and they do charge an entrance fee. It's like $20 for 4 hours listening to bands perform new music. And it's in honor of her son, who was a musician who passed away 3 years ago, or 4 years ago maybe, and they've been doing this in his honor ever since.
I do want to point out that it is a Bothell address. It is actually not in the Bothell city limits. It is north of Bothell city limits.
As long as it has a Bothell, the address may be unincorporated, but it's in Bothell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It
Yeah,
has
yeah.
a Bothell address, but it is technically not in Bothell. It is in unincorporated Snohomish County. So I just wanted to be clear about that. Like, I'm not voting against it. I just want to be clear. So,
It's
Yes,
perfectly
that
fine.
meets
though.
our
Yeah.
requirement. That's our biggest thing, right?
Pardon, sorry.
Oh, just as long as it meets what our requirement. and
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
but
Sounds like it does, so phew.
Okay. The third project is Rachel Coots, and I apologize if I'm not saying and pronouncing the names correctly. Rachel is interested in doing, well, she's part of a nonprofit group called Whale Scout, which is located here in Bothell. They work on preservation and conservation. And the title of her project is Empowering Conservation Through the Rivers of Change. She hopes to do it this summer. It'll be her first time doing the project, so it's a new project. The goal, she hopes to involve the public in a community-based painting event to create a 16 by 4 foot painting that will be transformed into a banner. The painting will portray two individuals planting a tree, symbolizing how a single action can ripple outward, positively impacting the vitality of our forests, watersheds, and the well-being of our indigenous wildlife. The banner will be displayed at a park, specifically hung from the Whale Scouts temporary shed located on the west side of the former Wayne Golf Course in Bothell, overlooking the park. The goals of the project are community engagement, ownership, and education. By involving community members in the creation of the painting banner, individuals will feel a personal connection to the art project and the park, leading to increased stewardship, engagement, and pride in the park. Another goal is to raise awareness about wildlife conservation, particularly on local ecosystems and the importance of protecting our salmon and orcas. It will be completely free, accessible event at a public park. 2 separate event dates will be made available for those to sign up. Both events will include a painting session and a walking tour of the park. Those who want to be involved in the painting will have to sign up for the event through an events page on whalescout.org. Furthermore, park visitors will enjoy the opportunity to appreciate the artwork alongside Whale Scouts' extensive community of 800 or more volunteers a year who gather at the same location where the art will be exhibited. Event participants will actively contribute to the painting process, facilitated by a paint by numbers approach, ensuring that no prior painting experience is necessary. They hope to promote it for they will engage Whale Scout volunteers, leveraging their mailing lists and social media. They have 1,000 followers, and distributing flyers in key locations such as the Bothell Library and Whale Scouts booth at outreach events. She'll work to collaborate with local organizations such as the Seattle Aquarium, where she volunteers, the Bothell Parks and Recreation Department. And then, of course, we would, if she's received funding, the Arts Commission would also help promote that. She's already received approval for any specific project, for this specific project from Bothell Parks and Recreation Director. Social media platforms such as Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram will be used. She also plans to talk about it at the park board meetings and Arts Commission meetings.
Do you know how much she's asking?
Yes, she's asking for $1,263. And I can bring up that budget really quick here.
That's very specific. That's great.
All right, this is very small, isn't it? Let me see if I can.
we're not seeing the budget.
How's that? Is that good enough?
We're not seeing it on the screen.
Yeah, I think you're just sharing the window or whatever,
Oh,
not the Excel.
did I stop sharing?
It's showing
No,
that, it's just
it's showing-
focused on,
It's only
in Teams you select a screen and I think it's trying to be nice by hiding it, but.
Gosh, you guys, I don't know how to do that. Maybe if I, can you see?
earlier, which is kind of.
Well, we could see the one that was in your tabs, but I'm wondering if this one's opening in Excel.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just read it to you. She's looking for $408 for her painting prep time. She's looking for $410 for supplies and materials, $345 for promotion, printing and signage, artistic expenses, such as paid time for technical support to make the banner. The total cost is $1,755 to do the project, but she's asking for $1,263. So she has some matching funds of $300, probably through Whale Scout, and then some in-kind donations of $192.
Great.
Okay? All right.
And she's one of the applicants.
Yes,
That's
yes. So she is one of the higher scored applicants based on the juror feedback. And that was Rachel right here. Okay, then the final highest scored artist is AC Peterson. You all know AC. She's been attending some of our meetings. AC, but that does not mean it's a conflict of interest, just so you know. Unless you are financially involved with her, which many of you are. All right.
Is it she or he?
Pardon?
Is it she or he?
It's a she.
Okay.
It's an individual project. It's called Currents. It's an operetta. She hopes to do it in July through December of this year. It will be her first time doing it in Bothell. She's a librettist, and Jeremy Burden is the composer. She wants to present a short operetta called Currents, following 3 Japanese American women from Bainbridge Island through time and place. From a 1937 departure of a young Nisei Hibei on a ship to Japan, to working in Japan's World War II balloon bomb factory, to a mother and young daughter's arrival and incarceration at Minidoka. This impressionistic arc of songs reveals emotion and ties of family members torn apart by choice and by force and trapped on both sides of the Pacific Ocean during World War II. She hopes to revise and add to the work since its first staging at 18th and Union on Seattle's Capitol Hill during their Spring Shot 2024 Festival of Works in April of this year. She would like to continue collaborating and rehearsing with vocalists on songs and staging. She would like to stage this performance during a free community event in downtown Bothell, possibly during the Art Walk, to include performance and the definition of art. So we have our Bothell Art Scene Art Walk, which is hosted by another organization, but it's 2-dimensional art, so she is excited about extending it to something beyond visual. There could be several short segments or repeats during the time of the event, or a 20 to 30-minute performance where folks are welcome to come and go. It should be indoors in the lobby at Bothell City Hall is what she's proposing. She hopes to promote it through various channels. It will be accessible, and she is counting on persons of color, meaning non-white, as underrepresented. The subject matter is Asian American and Japanese American history, so it would require some specific outreach. She hopes to consult with the city, advising on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and members of the Arts Commission. She also hopes to reach out to the North Shore Senior Center. She is asking for $2,600, and the budget would be used mostly for the artistic services. She's looking for $600 for the composer and librettist, and she's looking for $600 for the 3 vocalists that are performing the opera, $150 for costume coordination. On the that was personnel. And then on implementation side, she needs $150 for supplies, $100 for promotion for flyers and posters, $250 for costume rental or purchase of props, $600 for rehearsal space. So she's asking, so between personnel and her implementation costs, it comes to $2,700, and that's what she's asking. The total cost to do this would be $3,500. So she's got some in-kind funds of, it looks like $800.
Danae, is she asking 2,600 or 2,700?
That was a question of mine as
Oh,
well.
is that different
So the
than?
budget says 27, but the answer here says
I
26.
think at the beginning you said 26.
I did, so maybe that's a typo in her,
Yeah, we need to clarify that because it does say the budget says 27, but the application here says 2,600.
I think we should probably go with the 27, considering that was her budget. I would assume that there was a typo when she did when she submitted. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this to 2,700 if that's okay with all of you.
Sure.
So that means then that we're at 360, what was that?
363, yes.
Okay. So, Sarah, we have $22,333.04 available to fund.
That's lovely. 22,000, how much? Or 20,000?
$22,333.04.
I love it.
And of the 4 highest scored projects, that comes to $12,363. So we've got another $10,000 available to fund.
Danae, the number that you mentioned, 12,000,
$363.
thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any questions about anything so far?
I was gonna say, let's pause. We can maybe talk about these, the top ones, and then we can kind of go into our next phase. Thoughts, feelings?
Have we decided about this or are we in a,
No, at this point,
Process.
we're just kind of, these were the top scorers. We'll talk them out. If we want to go with them at full cost, we'll do that, or we can, but my recommendation would be, let's talk through the yellow ones, which were the kind of the next level highest, and then maybe any others that we would like to discuss, and then we can make our decisions, allocate our money, and make our vote.
Any other questions? Sarah, just so you know, we do use as unbiased as possible peer jurors that reviewed all of the applications for the first round. And so what the Arts Commission is reviewing is the highest scores from those peer jurors.
So, any comments, thoughts, feelings about these 4 that we just went through?
I very quickly wanted to also ask the name of the very first one that you mentioned.
Rohini
Yeah, thank you.
Mathur.
Mary Beth,
Sorry, I was like looking for there's my raising hand. The quick question I have is, so these were the top 15. What was the total number of applications that were reviewed?
15 total applications,
Okay,
of
I thought-
which these are the top 4.
okay, I'm sorry.
I
I
think,
thought that there
are
was
you
one-
asking, if you're asking me, are you asking about this round or the first round with the peer jurors?
First round with the peer jurors.
So there were, I don't specifically remember, but roughly, I think there were 8 or 9 that were exempt, meaning that they were out of state when they applied, and we made it clear in our, in the cafe platform that we were accepting regional artists. And they were asking for travel expenses to come here. And that just didn't seem feasible considering our budget, so those were exempt. And there were about maybe 35 artists that the peer jurors reviewed. So then there were about 12 that did not make the cutoff
Got
for
it.
you to review.
But good turnout. I mean, it sounds like that.
Yeah, really good.
That's great.
Yeah, really good.
I'm really happy with the top four, especially like because the budget requests are so minimal that, and the projects seem great. They all relate to the community. They all relate to, like, tick all the boxes, and they're asking for like $1,500 for most. So I think that's fantastic. The only one, they're at the concert asking for 6K that's just a bigger chunk, but I think it's a great cause and seems like it'd be an awesome event, super well thought out and great for the community, and it'd be fun for us to be able to advert, because I'd never heard of that before. It's like, oh my gosh, that'd be so
I
cool.
know, I have, in my comments here, I have third year.
Yeah,
question mark.
exactly,
I was like,
exactly. So I'm a huge fan of I think they made it easy for us, because it's like, oh, 12K, awesome, then we have 10 to play with for the rest, so I'm very happy.
So the only really of these, I was very strong on all of them. The Red Fellow Music, I did have the third year, what? It's a very strong application. It's an excellent concept. I love supporting up and coming artists, new artists. They need a better marketing plan. Like, that was my biggest thing, and my big concern is like, they did not really go into depth about it. Kind of made me nervous. I get that it's a Bothell address, but it is so not Bothell. When you look at it, it is like northeast Mill Creek. If we're fine with that, we're fine with that, because it is a Bothell address, but it is way outside of Bothell proper. So I just want to make that, just as long as we're clear on that, because I know that the grant said it must be in the city limits of Bothell. Yes, it does. We can do stuff to help with Bothell residents getting up there. It is not Bothell. So.
Yeah, that was one I wondered, and I thought, why doesn't this flyer say where it's at? It was kind of strange that
Yeah.
it wasn't prominent, but I didn't realize it was somebody's personal property. So that's a little bit, I assumed it was a Bothell Park or some sort of venue that they had already secured.
So Mary Beth, I did look them up. It's a wedding venue that I believe that they own.
Okay.
And then it is like, it's almost Cathcart. It's so far out. It gives me pause. I love everything about it, and it gives me pause.
Because it's too far away.
It is too far, and our grant guidelines say that it should be in the city of Bothell.
Okay.
So is that not considered part of Bothell if they have a lot of Bothell, but it had.
It has a Bothell address, but it is not city of Bothell. It is unincorporated Snohomish County.
Well, there are other areas of Bothell that are also considered unincorporated Bothell too. So where do you draw the line? I guess that would be.
Yeah, because Bothell is known to be in both parts, right? I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, when you think about Bothell, I don't think of this as Bothell. This is almost Snohomish. It's that far out.
But I could challenge that only in saying, oftentimes everything happens near Main Street. And
That is true.
Yeah. So we've always talked about what can we do more to the north end. So that might be a good thing, because we are often focused on this way.
Yeah, and the other thing is, as long as people, I don't think people go into more detail about, as long as it says Bothell, my perception is.
Yeah.
But the only concern I have right now is whether or not people are willing to drive all the way there. I don't know.
It's not an easily accessible
That was my
area as well. And I mean, it says right here, funding restrictions include public activities occurring outside of Bothell. So it's kind of like, well, where do we, I mean, in the spirit of that, I would say the city of Bothell, either Snohomish or King County versions of it, but this is.
Well, that kind of makes it difficult for, if you live on that land, then you can't apply to any grant program anywhere, because you technically, I feel like we can use our discretion to cut, yeah, well, they don't have an order.
I mean, this is.
Well, I mean, are you looking up the address? Where is?
I am looking up the address.
How far away is it from here, I guess?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Hold on, let me pull it.
Yes.
17 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, not bad.
And it is northeast Mill Creek.
Okay.
It is not that far from, it's like Clearview. That's how far out it is.
17 minutes for a concert.
Well, and a lot of people, like my sister lives like up like by Thrasher's Corner, and like that's like kind of.
I mean, from here to Thrasher's Corner,
Yeah.
depending on traffic, takes me 45 minutes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, so, but like, I feel like it does, because we do center a lot of stuff here, it kind of
Right.
allows a little bit
It
of.
does allow that. And
Yeah.
like I said, I am not against it at all, but I do think that we need to really consider that because then it creates a precedent that we're like, well, we're gonna just gray area if we like this or not. I do want us to just be thoughtful about it. Also, it is far out there enough that makes it inaccessible if you need public transportation. It is in a location that is not.
So maybe
Equitable in
if
that
there's
way.
like a shuttle or something that
I
would fix,
mean-
but I don't, they didn't sound like they had a shuttle.
Yeah.
But I guess it kind of, we can use a bit of our discretion here because I don't think, this feels like a very specific scenario. I don't think there's going to be a ton of people from unincorporated Snohomish being like, haha, now I can, like, or somewhere random, like in the mountains that's like far away, and be like, well, technically, like, I think we could, because it's such a unique scenario, if we do all like the project, I think it's, as long as it's not a legal issue with how we worded that would be my only concern.
I would be afraid that it would.
So maybe we could ask to see.
I think we need to double check that. Like, I think we need to do our due diligence personally.
Yeah, of course. But
Mary
if it's
Beth?
not a legal issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to go back to, yeah, absolutely, if there, we get it, make sure that it's valid with our overall criteria. But I do like the idea, and one of the things I think being in round two, what we need to think about with both round one and round two is, okay, what kind of different activities have we made awarded grants for, and where are they happening around the community? And our community is broad. It is Snohomish plus Bothell or King, right? So, but it's all Bothell. But like where, like, so the next round, well, you know what? We probably wouldn't be an unincorporated Snohomish County or whatever because we've already just had something there. I think we want to try to just our awards throughout the community.
I wonder if they're paying any awful taxes.
No. Because my mom is south of there by a lot, and she does not pay any city of Bothell taxes. She does not vote for the city of Bothell.
Yeah, that's a good point. And do our funds,
Or
because
assumption.
they're awarded for ARPA, I'm sorry, I probably need to raise my hand, but just, does that apply to how these dollars are used as well, right?
That is very true as well.
I feel that our guidelines are very general. It's just, it must occur in Bothell. Well, it has a Bothell address,
It has a
so
Bothell address, but they are just not Bothell.
I
Like,
think that would be more of the concern than the other. The fact that it's got a Bothell address and we say it has to occur in Bothell for Bothell residents makes it okay, but by somehow stating that, oh, but it's so far up there, it doesn't count, that's not, I think that's where it could get more concerning in terms of whether it's legitimate or not.
I think of it this way, is that for any of us to sit here on the commission, we had to say that we are residents of the city of Bothell or its urban growth area, of which we then had to, this is outside of Bothell and outside of the urban growth area, even though it's addressed as Bothell. So, like I said, I love this project. I really, really do. And
Why don't we
Let's be
run it
bilingual.
into that, and
Yeah.
what we can do is you can have a contingency if we don't do it.
Right.
Very, again, my apologies. How much are they asking?
6,000.
Okay. And a big portion of the money, as much as I understood, they're putting it themselves.
Correct.
Yes.
40,000 is, and then they're asking.
Correct. Exactly. 42,000 is their overall budget.
Very good, thank you.
Any other comments about these first four?
There we go.
I knew that was going to happen.
That was driving me insane yesterday.
Yeah. Maybe yellow time?
I think, honestly, I mean, we have like, I think AC Peterson is, focuses on indigenous people.
Japanese American.
Japanese.
Turns.
In terms of diversity, it's a very diverse applicants.
It's also very diverse of art.
Yeah.
Which I was like,
It's true.
yay,
Yeah.
opera, like.
Yeah.
Had anything.
No, we haven't.
No.
Oh, I meant to quickly, I know we're starting to get low on time, but I just wanted to quickly remind you of the 7 applicants that we are funding for round 1. So as you start thinking about what is best for the community, what are we already doing, and what should we be focusing on, to your point about not having opera. We're doing a short film by about incarcerated youth called Echoes of Resilience. It's geared for adults and teens. We actually have a date now for their outreach event, so I want to pass that around. Please take as many as you want. We're doing providing marketing support for the 2024 Bothell Art Scene Art Walk. We are providing artist fees for Soul Revolution and rhymes, beats, and dance performance at the North Shore Performing Arts Center, and a break dance workshop for UW Bothell and Cascadia College students. We're providing artist fees for a traditional art festival called Art Walk in the Woods at the Park at Bothell Landing, and 2 free online art workshops that will kind of tie into that event. We're offering 2 diaspora events. One is an African American diaspora event, and the other is an Asian American event featuring visual arts, dance, music, and vendors representative of their community. And then the final concert is a traditional ancient vocal and instrumental repertoires spanning Iberian, Ottoman, Balkan, North African, and South American music. This is a project that won't take place in 2024, but that's okay. She's pregnant and she's due in August, so we'll be doing something in 2025 for that event.
And would it be possible whatsoever to have a list to just take a look? Can you,
Yeah.
how can you?
Of the ones we funded, I'm getting ready to update our webpage, and I'll forward that to you once it's live.
So we're ready. Let's talk yellow. Our 2 there.
Okay.
Cool. And maybe Danae, in light of the time, we can just give a quick overview of what the project is, and we not go into quite as much detail.
Okay, Nicole Dibble is a visual artist. She's requesting $2,065. Everyone that juried her work said yes, with the exception of maybe one person that said maybe. And Cole is
I'm just gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
It's called Make Your Mark in Bothell. She hopes to do it in June through September. It's the first time she's doing it. The goal is to provide 3 art-making experiences while creating a community-wide collaborative art piece that celebrates unity and diversity. She wants to explore creativity, self-expression, and embracing adversity using the book, The Dot by Peter Reynolds. I'm not familiar with that book.
I just looked it up. It's a kid's book.
Yeah.
Inspiration with people of all ages and all abilities to take place in Bothell. Art making booths and space at public events in Bothell at least 3 times during the summer. This might be something that we could feature as part of the Bothell Arts, either the Bothell Art Scene Art Walk or maybe summer nights if there's openings still. Any kids family summer series, the Parks Department is doing some kids summer series, so that could be something that we could collaborate with them on. She hopes to host 1 art making event at the North Shore Senior Center. And I won't go into the details of the budget. She's asking for $2,065.
Danae, I didn't hear anything specific.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very general.
Well, I was trying to go quicker.
It's like dot, I don't know if you can see, but it's like dots like this, and then they make a strand. I just didn't know where they were gonna put it, so.
Go ahead, Mary Beth.
Oh, so I was just gonna say, when I saw that it was just the dots, it made me, it wasn't maybe as interesting. I know we've talked about the thing with the woman and doing some different things. It was like, okay, but it wasn't like I was like blown away by it. And I also thought about some of our other art projects that we're doing for the community. So this is why I was like, I'm not so sure this is the perfect one, but that's why I was amazed on it.
I wrote down, I said yes because of the price, because I was like, hey, I really liked what we could do with that amount of money. But my comment that I wrote down as I went through this was, this is the type of event that we have talked about wanting to do. But that's where I left it at, so.
Okay.
To me, for the lack of English skill, to say it really plainly, as I see it, it seems sort of a marketing.
More than a-
Self, is my impression. I don't know how better to explain it.
Yeah, no, you explained that very well. Yeah, self-promotional and not really centering the community. I just didn't know where she was gonna, like, she had a picture of a different artist's version as inspiration, and then didn't actually show, like, there's no pictures of a giant. So I don't know. It didn't say, like, because that's not her.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't say where it was going to live.
Exactly. That's
So, yeah, so it just kind of, I just felt like, okay, like, I love the community involvement. I love involving kids. I love the different locations. I love the senior center. I love all those aspects, but the actual result, I don't really know what it is.
What we're gonna do with this.
And we are featuring that this year with the traditional art festival called Art Walk in the Woods.
So,
Exactly.
Okay.
so is it gonna house there, art walk? What she's doing?
This is a one-day festival that would be involve paying artists to do different workshops for you.
And this is part of that festival?
No, sorry, this is
Similar to it though,
Similar.
but
Similar.
with less, in my opinion, less thought put into it as the one that we've already granted money to from
Or like
us the first.
conveyed.
Yes, yeah, conveyed. Yes, exactly.
Good.
Okay, the next project is from Masahiro Sugano. It was a 2.6, so some of you said yes, and one said maybe. He's asking for $8,100. This is a highly artistic application. He is part of Studio Revolt. It's an individual project. If Hafiz wrote a haiku for cowboys, it's, is it media?
It's a film.
He began the project in December of 2019, and it's slated to be completed in December of this year. The final cut stage is already underway, beginning from June of 2023. He's now in the finishing stages of the final post-production phase. It'll be his first time performing in Bothell. Filmed in cinema verite style across cities in Iran, Japan, and the US, and edited with the pulse of a haiku poet, this feature film depicts 20 fictional, mundane scenarios on regret, longing, and love. My film project is currently in the final post-production stage after a lengthy 5-year production, including an unplanned disruption by the global pandemic. Sorry, Mary Beth, did you say something? Oh, okay.
No, sorry. Oh, maybe I'll mute. Sorry.
This began as a research opportunity through UW Bothell, so it seems fitting to complete and premiere the film work also in Bothell. His first rough cut in 2022 was 4 hours long. It's now 90 minutes, thanks to the cutting that he's been able to do. He seeks funds to cover costs for the film's final editing and finishing. Costs include labor for the film's color correction, sound mixing, the creation of an original music score, and securing music rights. I'm on course to complete by the summer and already in conversation with musicians and collaborators. He hopes to organize a couple community premiere screening opportunities to Bothell audiences. He wants to do it with diverse audiences. We'll offer him an opportunity to hear direct feedback from viewers, as well as host a Q&A session to discuss the issues and themes featured in the film. Because there will be a great community interest in the film, I will offer 2 preview screenings held at the University of Washington Bothell and the Anderson School Theater in the city of Bothell. The screening at UW Bothell will be completely free, and the McMinimans Anderson School Theater will be ticketed at a reduced price. Both will be open to the public and include a post-screening Q&A session with the director featuring actors and community guest discussants. His audience includes lovers of experimental film, including those seeking to see complex representations of Japanese, Iranian, and American people on screen. It's intended for people who love global and third world cinema, artistic films of the cinema verite style, as well as those looking for a subversive take on road movies that spans a disparate locations around the world. It will be incredibly accessible to different communities, including BIPOC, people in America, local Japanese and Iranian residents. He talks about the diversity of the city of Bothell as well as the campus. And then I can download the budget if you'd like, but he did already explain what the costs would be used for. And then he does include some little snapshots of other media pieces that he's already done in the past. He's completed over 30 films. And is that enough information?
Yes, you are doing a great job.
Oh, thank you, sir. I don't know if I'm saying some of these things correctly, but I apologize if anybody's listening.
Thank you.
Watches this later. So if we were to fund these two projects, it would take us up to $22,328, which is about $100, I don't know.
It is
We are left
$5.
$5. $5.
and 4 cents.
We're left up to $5.
$5.04 off.
And then I would like to also mention that there is a project here that is by a artist.
I'm so glad you said Will.
So William is a professional public artist. He specializes in murals. He's done large-scale murals on walls in the city of Auburn and Kent, I think, and Renton.
Seattle,
the train,
Woodinville, Beaverton, Oregon.
He's
Awesome.
He's incredible, and he's interested in doing a temporary public art piece for Bothell. He's just a wonderful human being. I shouldn't be biased. I'm being biased, but I just really, I mean, he's quite prolific. And what I would like to suggest is that he has gone through the process to be fair and equitable, and we don't necessarily have the funds within the grant, but he would be eligible for use of our 1% for art funds. So if you're all on board with it, I would love to begin having a conversation with him about doing a project where we would be using our 1% for art funds. The temporary project that he has in mind is something that it would be playful, and it would be, let me bring up some of his visuals. He did a piece on the side of the building. Where's the one for?
Frog crossing.
So he's done installations such as this, and he did, this one I believe is in Kent.
So cute.
That's on the Kirkland Cross River Trail.
This is in
McMinnville. He's done another one in Oregon too.
And then he's done some larger scale pieces. But on his website, he has these really fun snails that are, and this is where the temporary portion, they would be cutouts. And the cutouts would be, pretty large scale, like think about the size of this screen. and he would adhere, he'd attach them to the side of buildings. And they'd be up for, a couple of years. I think it just would be something, it just feels like the perfect project for our 1% for art funds. We don't have a lot of money. Doing something permanent is something that I've been encouraging the commission to stay away from. This is something we could do on a temporary basis. So if this is something that you are interested in doing, I am more than happy then to go through the process of taking it to council for approval and then contracting with him probably in 2025.
So with the 2 yellow ones, I do want to talk about that because the Studio Revolt video, like we've done a film in the first round. I don't love this project. Like there were things about it, but I'm like, it just, to be honest, in reading it, it felt like these were funds to go towards finishing the film. Like it felt like the screening was just this afterthought in which to get the funds to finish the film. I didn't love this project. I like aspects of it, but I don't see it being the right one for us.
Nikita said good planning and realistic budget, incorporating various countries and cultures in a movie can lead to a rich tapestry of storytelling and provide valuable insights into global issues. Michelle said yes, and do you want to say anything? Do you have any thoughts about that, Michelle?
I thought like we could do it, but maybe not give them the full value, because I think that the film is like already pretty much, like it said, it's almost done. I think like having places to show the film in Bothell would be like, if we could somehow negotiate something to have it still be showcased in Bothell would be really great. Like maybe we could help out on the marketing side and stuff, but I think like with the costs going towards the film wouldn't have to be that much.
Okay, great comments.
Beth, any thoughts about Masahiro Sugano?
I concur with what has been said so far. It felt like a lot of money, and it wasn't so, I felt like it was finishing the film. And I thought, not knowing enough about this person's work and everything else, it's just, I like the idea of bringing in these different cultures and that kind of thing, but I was just a little bit not sure that it warranted $8,000. That was my concern.
Would you like me to bring up the budget so we could kind of talk a little bit about what you would be interested in?
I mean, to be completely honest, rather than doing this film, I'd rather put the money into doing a project with Will Schlau.
We'll use our 1% for art funds.
No, I'm saying like we could do 2 things with Will.
Well,
We do something now, because I was thinking that we should do something out on Main Street that he would be.
I'm not opposed to, I was thinking also, I really, really liked his stuff. That was probably the thing I got most excited about. The guy that you brought up his work, is that you said, William, loved his stuff. What I didn't know, it made me think, we talked about public art and that kind of thing. And does that qualify? Because I know we've had that discussion before, right? Is it because it was temporary it works here, or are we
It's temporary. It is because it's temporary that it works. I don't want to use 1%. My personal feeling is I don't want to use 1% for the arts in which to do something temporary. Like if we're going to talk about 10, 20, 30 grand, it should be a permanent piece. And that I think Will is a fabulous artist. Full disclosure, he was the one that I worked with when I was at Woodinville. He came back to the city of Woodinville to do another piece. Like, he's great to work with. I love his philosophy of public art, of placemaking. He's a great human. But I think that Will would be a really good person to develop a permanent piece for Bothell. However, I want to work with the guy now and do something now and throw it out on Main Street instead of like what perked my interest was in his application. He was like, maybe the Jersey barriers. I'm like, well, we've got some there that are starting to look a little ratty. Could he do something that really, for 10 grand, he could do something amazing that could do what's out there now this summer. 10 grand is a good price for temporary. More than that should be permanent.
So for the 1%, how much do we know about the budget for the
We have about $180,000, and it's not something that we accumulate it's like a savings account, so it doesn't go away. It continues to be there, but it's only on city-owned above-ground projects of over a certain amount of money. And, grant funds that are used toward that project don't count. It's none of the below-ground aspects of the budget. So it's a limited amount of money. It's not a lot. And so from my standpoint, from a city staffing standpoint, I have been discouraging the commission from considering like murals, permanent murals. There's vinyl wrapped options, and then there's temporary projects like Will's. We don't really have any place to put a permanent mural right now. We've got some sculptures that we've done, so that's something that we've done using 1%. So that's something to think about. But it's just not a lot of money, when you're spending a lot of money to pay a professional artist, which we do. We pay professional artists, and we pay them their wages that they should be paid. We'd be looking at a lot of money to do a permanent mural somewhere, and so that's just from that standpoint. When you're looking at 180, it could go away pretty quickly with 2 or 3 projects.
My only thing on the
I'm sorry, Mary Beth, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, my only concern about the 1% piece is I feel like that's a more holistic discussion that we should have and definitely include him. But I also, I'm kind of with Hillary, I feel like, is there something, we've given a lot of little things out, so that goes a long way and that's great. I feel like, well, maybe we do take the remaining and put it towards the one that we think is the best. And I really do, I love what he does, but what could that look like, right? And so that's probably where I landed on all of this.
Mary Beth, you took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to say, I would honestly, we have our top 4 and they're great, but we are going to be looking into the music festival and whether that truly is in the spirit of our guidelines. With what's remaining, I'd like to give it all to Will and be like, do something cool for us.
I also feel that way.
He is, if you go to his website, just be prepared. There's some really, really wonderful, creative, thoughtful, and then you go into his philosophy on art in the community, in placemaking, and I think it'd be something that would pack a punch. And I think that's part of why we have this grant, is we want to spread it far and wide and do some cool things.
I did bring up Sugano's budget, and you can't see it unfortunately. So he's looking at $1,500 for color correction, $3,000, and this is his biggest cost and essential to completing the film, securing music rights and original score, $1,500 for sound mixing, $1,000 for festival submission fees. Now Michelle is a great example of something that we don't have a film festival here in Bothell. So if that's something that he's looking for funds for, then that doesn't make sense that would come from this grant.
Yep.
The 2 guest discussions for the screening, 300, guest actors for the screening, 300, marketing and outreach, 200. So if you did want to still move forward with this, I think that you could focus on the music rights and the original score of $3,000.
Is there any conflict if we do, because I am also of the opinion that if there's no conflict between, so if in the future we wanted to use Will for making a public art piece and then we figured their budget works out and there's a perfect one, if we allocate grant money for this project, does that mean we can't do that? Or are we able to do both? If we're able to do both, I think, one, if we're using this to promote Bothell art scene, having an artist like that participate in it and be featured in it could be really, really great for just marketing that, because that's something that's going to be, there's going to be all these cool events. And then if we have he's people know his name, it's like a pretty well-known artist. And that's a piece we have in Bothell through this grant program. That's pretty cool. So I think that could get a lot more attention, and then more potentially, if we're asking for the city for more money for next year, we could say, oh my gosh, look at this really, a lot of his pieces people would travel to see. And so that would be a better sell, I think, than a film that's not made for Bothell, not made in Bothell, and that we're doing something sort of similar. And we have a ton of really, really amazing inclusive events that are very diverse that I think are more unique, and are more unique to our city and feel like they're like representing the city. And that one doesn't feel like it's representing the city to me. It's a cool event, and I would say like, ooh, $500 to promote or whatever, but I don't think 8,000. If he's asking for 10 for something that's really, really amazing, I'd say we should just go all in on that. But
Does William live in Bothell?
North Seattle,
North, okay.
North Seattle, so local.
Do you want to talk about any of the other projects too, like August Denhart? Or,
That was going to be my next question is, out of what was not in the green or yellow categories, that was lower scoring by judges and the rest of us, was there anything besides apparently Will Schlau that stood out to anyone?
Well, and just to clarify, Hillary, I think those like August and Janae, those, they had all three. They were all yeses by the jurors. So it's just that some of us or commission members just put maybe some maybes in there, right?
Correct.
Would it be, is it going to be too time consuming to go over this very quickly? I would like to know about.
so August Denhart, he performed last year with Northwest Folklife Festival as part of Summer Nights. And he would be probably returning again this year to do that same performance, but he's asking for project for his group, Trio Guadalajara, to do, it looks like some kind of residency or in addition, he's not looking for funds to do the concert through Folklife, but he is interested in doing classes in the music, social studies, or world language departments at Bothell High School. So it would be these, kind of short residency opportunities. They'd be interactive presentations that tell stories of culture mixing and how through trade, conquest, and immigration, this is reflected in the world's music. So they're very, very talented musicians, very talented. They're very they're experts and professionals in their craft, and they're requesting $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah. Another one to Jonae Kendrick. Jonae is a jazz singer, and she performs at Earshot Jazz, and she has a beautiful voice. She's requesting $10,000 to do a performance, probably at the North Shore Performing Arts Center. I could share a sample of her music.
No, but we sell tickets if we fund this thing.
She would sell tickets.
Okay.
She would do it at probably a reduced price. And she can sell tickets. I mean, we don't say you can't, it has to be free. We just are saying whatever you're doing, and maybe we need to look into that because I don't recall now off the top of my head what the.
I think it was just a portion needed to be available to people who at a reduced fee. Yes.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know though if she's offering if she states that in her.
There was a few things. It was like, was it going to be at the North Shore Performing Arts Center? That wasn't clear. The marketing plan wasn't clear. The promotion wasn't clear. So there were a few things that weren't clear about that one.
And the money she's asking probably goes for venue payment, and those things are very expensive. Instruments, yeah.
While you're logging in, I just wanted to mention something about just a little bit on my thoughts on Will. So like I actually wrote no on my score, but I really did like all his work. Like I went to his website and when I saw like the frog, I was like, wow, this is so cool. But like I was just thinking from like a public standpoint, I think spending the art grant like for public art in Bothell, I think wasn't at least what I thought the purpose of our grant was. Because I think as like a member of the public, I would much rather like attend a workshop rather than just see like something go up that's going to be temporary, like you said. Like I was actually thinking that it'd be great if we had him on for the 1% of the public art, but I just think like having something up just for like people to kind of go by on their way to work, like I don't think people are really going to go out of their way, maybe more than once, to go see something that's like a mural on the side of a building. So like even though like we may not as a commission really see the vision of like the film that was going out that wanted like $8,000, I was just thinking that would have more of like a public interest than just like a temporary piece that would go up.
Totally, I definitely see your point. I would counter that with, we are coming from a position of loving art and caring about art. So we're interested in these types of things. We're interested in the music, in the film festivals and the unique films and that kind of stuff. Most of the city, I would say, has a passing interest in art and not necessarily an intentional interest. And so when we have something that can draw attention, that they do pass by on their way to work, that they're walking by and it catches, like his art, like if there's a giant adorable snail on the candy store and then there's like it draws that kind of interest to somebody who isn't necessarily passionate about art initially, that can kind of, from a marketing perspective, catch someone's interest and go, what is this? And then they learn more about the art commission or the grant program or the artists themselves or the city of, so it kind of is a little bit more of like an entry level art as opposed to something that's a higher level for people who are already interested. And so when we're doing multiple films and multiple things like that, I think in an environment like this, it becomes redundant to people who aren't already invested. So I think having that diversity of programming and having some stuff that's a little bit more like, I don't want to use the word like fluffy, but like accessible for people who aren't already passionate about it, it can kind of help bridge that gap and kind of shift the community towards we're an art community, in my opinion.
Kind of say that was beautifully said from both of you. Like I'm like, oh wait. One of the things that Will does do very well is that he looks at the environment. And one thing art does is want to bring people into community. I mean, there's a lot of neighborhoods that were run by artists, and so they were really cool. And then people bought the buildings and improved things, and then the artists couldn't afford to stay there and they moved out. So one thing that I look at a piece like Will's to do is to help make our city just a little more fun and make people want to come, and then they go to restaurants, and then they come to other things, and then they spend their money, which also then helps the local economy. So it's a very cause and effect with the art. So
yeah, I was like thinking about that, but also just by reading like his responses, I couldn't quite see what he was trying to put in Bothell. I feel like it would be more of a commission to be like, we would want something like here or there, because like I can very clearly say like what the other applicants are going to do, but from Will's application, maybe I just didn't read it closely enough and it was like pretty far in my list when I was going through. But I feel like I couldn't really pinpoint what he wanted to do for Bothell, and if we were going to commission him to do something, then it shouldn't be part of the grants program.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. You know, when you commission an artist to do a permanent public art piece, you're telling them where it's going to be because you've determined what is the site should be. So that does make a difference, you know, and in this situation, you know, he did meet with me and he talked about a couple of locations, one of which didn't work out. And the other idea is using the those big blocks that are sitting down there and doing something to decorate those ugly blocks, you know, that's kind of what is thinking. So he doesn't have a specific location. And because it's temporary, it does give us a little bit more flexibility to maybe work with them to find a location. Because we're not talking about 20 years. We know we're talking about for a year or two.
That's why when I read his application, I was like, Main Street, is because those Jersey barriers, I mean, they've been up for what, almost 4 years? This will be the 4th summer. They're kind of looking a little ragged. Let's dress it up before summer nights comes in, before people are out. And he would be a great artist to work with to create something that would, you know, have the road blocked off the way the city needs it to and have visual appeal. And
If you want to use grant funds for this, we don't have to fund him at $10,000 either. I mean,
That's true.
he was maybe thinking of doing maybe 4 or 5 different temporary pieces made out of plywood. Maybe instead, we do smaller pieces for less money. So.
And also, like, Michelle has a very good point, so either way, I'm happy. But we might be able to consider a way to involve the community in the installation process as well. So it could be something where if he's willing to work with us, like we could set up like similar to how I love, is it Rahimi? How she's doing.
my numbers.
Yeah, like.
Well, that's exactly what Will did at Woodinville.
Yeah.
In the trestle mural.
Okay.
That's his concept.
So maybe if it's something like that where it does involve the community and it's more, that could kind of bridge that gap a little bit more to where we are involving people and it is something that they can, be part of, but also we end up with something really, really, really cool. But we still have that like community effort and event as well. So if he's willing to, it seems like he is if he's done it before.
I mean, he's done it before, so.
He's also probably was more of an emerging artist when he did it before.
That's true.
And maybe now.
Maybe he wouldn't be, so it'd have to be a conversation.
He didn't include that in his application. He could have said, I would like to make
That's
this a
true.
community project. He's not doing that. And so I don't know if it would make sense for us to ask him to do
I mean,
that.
it could be hey, we're willing to give you this money if you do something similar to whatever, like it could be on that contingencies, if that's something people.
Mary Beth, I've neglected you. I apologize.
I'm just trying to, so I appreciate the conversation. I think everybody's making really great points. My 2 cents is I feel like we don't have to award all 22,000 at this point. Is that correct?
I feel like we really need to make a decision tonight because we need to get in contracts, and get the projects going. And if we wait, then we've got, then it's brand new commissioners at the next meeting and going through the whole process again.
I'm not saying that. No. I guess what I was saying, if we if we all agree to the first 6 or first X, right? But the whole thing with Will, there's a lot of different things that have to be figured out with that. So, and I agree with the comment that he really didn't spell it out. As much as I love his work, I wasn't completely clear of what that project was. I also have my own 2 cents on Main Street and all sorts of stuff I won't get into, but I feel like it's definitely worth the continued discussion, but are we ready to award money to him yet? Because we don't really know what he's saying.
And then for the sake of time and time management, I really need to go. If we need to decide on anything or vote on anything, can we just finish that? And for anything else, we can just discuss it later? Is this? Or do we need to?
Let me say this as,
do we need to decide for Williams' project today?
Not necessarily. We have to decide, basically, I think, who we want to give the money to and motion for that tonight.
yes, that is
We don't
correct.
necessarily have to decide we are going to ask this person this, or if we're going to do a 1% bars thing with Will. I don't think any of that is we have to decide.
We do not have to decide that. And to Mary Beth's point, I don't think we should necessarily say, hey, let's do 1%. We need to have a bit of a more holistic conversation and then jump into that. And so let's say this. We have 4 that I think we're pretty much all in favor of. Granted, we have one question that we want to ask about the Red Fellow, I want to say this correctly, Red Fellow Music Festival, correct? So I would propose, because I don't believe tonight I can technically make a motion. If we are okay with those four, at those amounts, that we move to vote on those four. Then we can circle back on what's left. How are we feeling about that? So somebody would have.
I'll make a motion to approve the first four in green for grant funds at full funding.
Any discussion? Oh, wait, sorry.
I'll second.
You'll second. Thank you for remembering Robert's rules when I just messed that up.
Okay,
Okay.
hold on. So basically calling for Hugh's motion to, what is the phrasing?
Approve the full amounts of grant funding towards the first four. Should I list out the specific names?
We
But
will fill this in.
yeah.
Okay.
And then Michelle seconded. Any discussion? And I will say, I can't do this, but with the understanding that we are checking on the music festival.
Make sure there's no legal issues. That would put us in a bad position.
Yes, please add that. So that is my discussion piece, that we are in agreement on all four as long as the music festival passes muster. Okay. No other discussion? So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, y'all. We just spent 12 grand of our grant.
Good job, you guys.
Okay. Moving on to what is left. I mean,
I am a bit ambivalent about Nicole Devil's project.
Okay.
And as we discussed here, I think the film project, I think it is still a very great idea if we partially fund it.
How much would you like to fund it for?
He's asking for 130,000 and one the major. It's a license for music, and how much was it?
It was 3,000.
That was 3,000, and then to help with some marketing, some of those other admin costs, I think it came to about another $1,000.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably the fund half of it. I don't know.
Okay. Do you want me to put 4,000 down?
I would say the 3.
I would also say the 3.
When we are going to help the person with whatever he's trying to do, so.
But none of the funds, if you only do 3,000, that doesn't support the promotion that we're hoping to see for this.
Exactly, so why don't we just, help him with the promotion
Yeah.
and with the license and just give half, 50%.
I just keep getting a feeling that the community aspect was an afterthought to get the funds to finish the film. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, if we don't spend it, but then, so Danae, let me say this, or ask this, in the contract, it would be specified that it's like, we want to see that you've done this, and that he did just.
I think the very first aspect of it will be a conversation with them. I would begin that conversation of saying, this is what the commission was concerned about.
We cannot fund.
An example that worked out really well to our benefit last year was that Lindy was asking for quite a bit of money. And when I called her, she had already gotten all the funding she needed.
That's true.
So he may be in a situation where he doesn't, so if you let me have some flexibility with $4,000, then I can talk to him about that and get an idea of kind of what that outreach would entail and,
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
all right. Does that sound good to you, Mary Beth?
Yes, definitely.
All right. So we do have a couple more projects to go through. August is the Music Guadalajara, it would be the opportunity to work with students in the high school. You know about Will's piece already. We could table that for now. I'd like to talk to you about the rest of these projects, but we're getting right on time. So we've got 20 minutes. So I can quickly go through them in 20 minutes.
Can we, you haven't looked through them, have you?
I have not.
Okay, because I was gonna say, let's bring up if anyone else has one in which they want to see. Like I do want, we did pay jurors. I'm looking at the time and we did pay jurors to go through this for us, so I do want to.
What were their
Yeah.
fees that,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, wasn't Jonay a 3 and August a 3? I can bring that up.
Yes. Connie, August, Jonay, Ching-In Chen, Nicole Dibble, Rohini, and William.
Were all threes?
AC, yeah, and AC. That was the cutoff after that.
Okay, so it looks like, okay, so August was one that they scored high. Jonay is the jazz musician, and I can talk a little bit quickly about that project. She's quite prolific. She is proposing a piece called Grounded, a bespoke healing experience. She wants to do it in June. A composition and development of a suite, and then premiere the suite in November. So she's looking for artistic fees in order to do her performance. The project aims to promote self-care and healing through an immersive musical experience. She'll compose a suite of string quartet, piano, bass, drums, voice, and other healing instruments to premiere at the Performing Arts Center in Bothell. I envision my performance as a catalyst for transformation, where melodies intersect with silence, inviting introspection and emotional release. By facilitating open discussion post-performance, I intend to foster a sanctuary for collective healing. This dialogue will not only amplify individual experiences, but also weave a tapestry of shared narratives. The public benefit through Grounded, I am committed to offering an experience drenched in healing, self-care, self-space, community connectiveness. She's not merely presenting a musical composition, but a deeply personal healing encounter. She wants to promote this to BIPOC community, women, non-binary individuals, as well as underserved populations in the arts and beyond. She extends a special focus to generative artists who are challenged by the need to balance their artistic practice with other work and those in caregiving and service roles. She's asking for $10,000, and the costs would include $250 for publicity, $2,500 for composer fee, that would be her fee, $1,600 for 8 artists at $100 for 2 rehearsals. The artist performance stipend of $4,000 for all 8 artists at $500 each. That's $8,350. And then facility fee, $35, rental fee, $800. That makes a little bit more sense. Custodial fee, $150, technical service fee, $450. So she's looking for well, in this, she says $9,800, but her total budget is $10,000. So the amount she's requesting from the city is actually $9,800. So that's, I can update that to $9,800.
So August and Janae are the two top candidates from the white section.
These would have been top votes by the peer jurors. 11.
I wish we could just give everyone the money. I think she's asking for too much. I just think it's too much, so it makes it seem like, okay, well, we can just. Because it sounds like she needs funding for absolutely every step of the way, which, and this again might be a conversation where you have with her, just, oh, we have it.
And the other question I have is whether or not she can raise any money out of the ticket sale. And if she can, so maybe we again can fund this partially and she raised the money.
I don't think, that's a good point. I don't see, I think she's planning to do it for free because there's no
Okay.
matching funds here. And she didn't mention that but that doesn't mean that we couldn't say, hey, we'll give you 5,000 and then you charge a fee for it. I do feel like you should hear her. She's,
Amazing.
she's really is
Say
amazing.
this as we have 15 minutes left, is we still have $6,000 to decide on. That we at least need to start getting the ball rolling on that. I'm looking at the projects that since I wrote them down, that we've already done, plus the ones that we have already agreed to tonight. And we have a lot of, I mean, this sounds weird because this is what we want to do. We have a lot of community events happening. To Holly's point earlier, we don't just have a nice piece of art. I'm almost proposing that at this point, I am looking at the time, I am looking at all these projects. It's hard to choose, but should we work with Will on a temporary piece that's in Bothell that we could have for a couple of years with $6,000?
I think everybody was,
On board with that.
yeah, but I think it was more just like, let's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to cut this off, but I am looking at the time and doing that and trying to keep us moving.
There's still August Denhart here. I mean, we need, out of fairness to all the artists, I think it's important.
He did go over
The
August
trio who go to the
Denhart.
schools and then,
I liked his, I don't remember the amount, but I remember thinking, I'm not sure.
It's 5,000.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Also, it wasn't clear if he had already made the connection
Yeah,
with the
so
high school.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was
I
thinking. I'm not, Mary Beth.
Mary Beth, where'd you go?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if the full 5,000 is what we need to get paid, because it seemed like you already had the connections, so I think then we were kind of doing, I'm not really sure, like, paying for them to be there, is what I was kind of thinking.
For a lot of the performances like this, can we do them for like summer nights or something? Like, is there a connection?
He's already doing it as part of Summer Nights.
Oh, so,
Yeah.
okay, never mind.
Can you hear us, Mary Beth?
Hi, I
So-
can. I have to move and so I'm listening, yes.
Okay, great.
I think August's project is, so backing to Hillary's point, how do we feel comfortable of moving forward? Talking about Will's project necessarily, or deciding about the other projects on the list?
I mean, there wasn't another project, like, granted, I just kind of wrote this all down. Getting the breadth, like the full width and breadth of art, we've got, I mean, the only other thing we're missing besides an actual just a piece of art is a theater thing. And we've done, I mean, this.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I was
close,
gonna say,
it's
yeah.
so close. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at, like, nothing else. Yeah. Everything else here, there's amazing, I mean, that's the hard thing, there's amazing. We want to fund everyone. There's a lot of things here that I feel like we've already agreed to, and Will is different.
Okay, so am I hearing you correctly when I say no to Nicole Dibble, yes to Masahiro for $4,000, but it's kind of also, I mean, I'm going to call him and have a conversation with him. And yes to August Denhart for 5,000.
Did we?
I
don't
think it's
The full
okay.
5,000 is all.
I don't.
But I think something you think is good, but I wasn't sure about the full 5,000, because when we quickly went over it, it did kind of sound like he already had the connection there, so then I felt like then it seems like basically the 5,000 goes like to them, but I'm not sure how that really is contributing to doing the.
Can I jump in with you one thing?
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Please,
that,
yes.
When I look at the rankings from the jurors, Masahiro was not unanimous with all three. So if that matters, I just want to make people aware of that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, that's
I never got the impression from August Denhart that, like, the application talked about wanting to be in the high schools. I don't know that that connection has actually been made, that thing is actually happening. I really don't want to,
Yeah.
that gave me pause, and it's not really a favorite, so.
He's looking for $500 for him to be the project manager. He wrote the grant. He would coordinate everything with the schools and the artists. 4,500 would be the musician stipends for each time the trio appears. So 2 classroom sessions and 1 public concert is $4,500. So it looks like that 5,000 is all artist fees, which is great. That's what we, what we focus on.
There might be some wiggle room there with, okay, maybe do 1 classroom and a public, or just the public, or just the classrooms, or something, like there might be.
Yeah, and if that public performance is part of the Northwest Folklife Festival, the city's already paid Northwest Folklife Festival to pay the musicians to do that. So I can talk to him about that and find out.
Some wiggle room.
I'll reach out to him about that.
For Masahiro, since it wasn't fully unanimous, is there like a comment on why?
I think that was the one I was going to reach out to him about, finding out about where he's at with his budget, and that was the 4,000 that we talked
But
about.
from the jurors, that one said no, we're wondering if.
Oh, I think her comment was that, Mary Beth, do you have it in front of you?
I do. And I think it was 2 yeses and a maybe. So no, it wasn't a
Okay,
no,
no.
just to be clear, but it wasn't a 3 unanimous. So hang on one second. It is too much for free screening was the one who, oh no, actually this person said no. It was yes, yes, and no. The third juror said too much for free screening, no real public benefit for Bothell.
Yeah. I can't get behind that one. I just don't feel like it's the right.
I think it's very interesting, but it wasn't like this one where, because it's similar, but we, like, I mean, the content is different, but I feel like the premise is similar and all of us were on board right away. But for this one, I feel like, no, it's timed out.
It's the way, I think it's the,
Yeah, and I think that there's pretty clear like value and interest for this one that I think can be generated and understood easily. But I do feel like for me personally, I think experimental film is really interesting, and this is something I would be interested in. But I'm not really sure how many people in Bothell something this honestly kind of like specific would be something that a lot of people would want to see. And since we'd be putting, well, I know he asked for 8,000, but even still, if we do 4,000, I feel like that might kind of be a lot for something I don't know, like how like large this would be for a crowd, especially because also, it is like free to enter, which I think is good, and makes it very accessible. But also then like, I'm not really, yeah, I said the main thing I was trying to say.
No, I think that's a really good point and I wrote that down in my comment. Is this too much for Bothell? Like, meaning the film itself? Like, is this just, I mean, part of why we were appointed by council was to be, the voice of art for, to talk to them. Like, we're in the community and we talk to them. We're supposed to say, hey, I think this is a good art opportunity for our city. I don't know if this is the right art opportunity for our city. I mean,
Yeah, I see more of a community benefit to Bothell from August than the film. And so if we're saying, let's maybe give him the 4,000 instead, that would feel to me more, like people would go to that more and it would be more of like a,
Especially if August also can get something already from something else,
Yeah.
it could be less than that. also.
exactly,
And
exactly.
that still means we can give something to Mashiro,
Yeah.
maybe not quite the full 4,000.
Yeah.
well, seeing that we only have 6,000 left, if we can give something to August, but not Masahiro, we could still then talk to Will about doing
That's-
something.
That's true.
I guess one question I have is, are we diluting the amount for Will if we all feel we want to do that? I feel like it's getting smaller and smaller, and I'm also not hearing everybody say, yeah, we really do need to give August something and Masahiro. So I just want to, I'm hearing this conversation, but I'm like,
Thank
yeah, we
you.
keep whittling out the money.
I think thank you, Mary Beth, for saying that. We have had a more robust conversation about what we like about Will than any of these others. Like, I almost hear that we're talking ourselves into these others, but because they're a little bit of a more known quantity, whereas, you know,
Right.
Will could
Right, so
do.
that was my question of like, are we
Yeah.
basically making the decision because there's 6 minutes left and we need to? And so, and we have more concrete information on other people other than Will? Or are we able to get more clarity and, or keep money aside for like fine tuning? And then later, maybe we say, no, Will's not going to be able to do it. And we go back to one of these. I guess that's my only question. I feel like we're kind of forcing the decision
I
when we
mean,
have limited time, right?
here's the deal, is that, where was I? I lost my math. Okay, after the 4 we have already funded fully, we have $10,000 left. If we talk to August about where things are money-wise, and then the remainder goes to Will, or we could do the whole 10 to Will.
And I hate to put a wrinkle in this, but we still have about $5,000 left in our general fund. So if you are interested in dedicating some funds from our general fund toward one of these projects, we can do that. So I'm happy to have conversations with Masahiro, August, and Will, if that sounds like something that you would like. And then we can come back and finalize that at our next meeting. Because I do feel like it sounds like I need to have a conversation and come back and report to you on all 3 of those. And then also, I think that there's some opportunities to be creative with like the general fund, for instance, and come up with, another 5,000.
Does
So
that give you enough timing to then get these done by the end of the year?
yeah, I think so. I mean, as long as we've made great inroads and now we have questions. So to be able to come back to you with answers to those questions as opposed to starting from scratch again, that I feel.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Great.
Plus,
I feel
we
like
also have
that's
a-
the right answer, like just because it
Yes,
feels
it is.
right, the more thoughtful approach, right?
Thank you, Danae. This is a great,
Michelle has a
Also-
question.
great suggestion.
I just don't feel comfortable giving really anything to Will from this grant pool, because I remember last time the rubric had like how like detailed their project is thought out. I just think if we wanted to like in the future set aside money for like something, we can say, oh, could you do this for the city, something that we want, then that's something that he'd be perfect for. I just think, I always thought that this grant was supporting someone who had like a defined idea, who had something that they wanted to do. And we're so focused, I feel like, on, oh, what we've seen Will do, what we think he could do. But I feel like that wasn't what this grant was for. And I just think he doesn't qualify to get money. Not that I don't think he could do great things for the city. Like, I've seen his work and I know that like if we asked him to, he could make something amazing. I just don't think I don't think that's something we can say.
I do think that you are bringing up some very valid points and also why I suggested using the 1% art funds for his project. We've gone through enough of a vetting process to do a temporary public art piece with him using 1%. I feel comfortable going to council and saying, we went through a process. and he scored well, and the commission didn't want to use grant funds for this project. They are interested in using 1% art funds for this, and then begin having a conversation with him and the full commission with what that project could be. And we would have more of a say, and he's definitely, he's very open to whatever it is that we'd be wanting to do. But then to Mary Beth's point about having a more robust conversation around that at a later time would probably.
I think I would agree with that because that is a very valid point. I mean, having known Will, you can say, let's create something together, and he's the right person to do that. We also forget that we do have $6,000 that is still, that we've approved, however, we are double checking on to making sure that that is like geographically appropriate expenditure. So this might be a very different conversation next month. I do agree with Danae, we need to ask some more questions. And so I would say that we table the discussion at Will, Masahiro, and August to come back in June with more answers.
And then if he doesn't have like a plan, like you're saying, because that's a very good point, like that does fit all of the checkboxes and the guidelines, once we have that broader discussion, then we can say no. But I would like to get that information from him first, just because I know there's I think a bit of nuance here when we're looking at it. And I think giving that, like Danae, allowing her to have that conversation with him, I think would be really beneficial, because my thoughts are, I want art ASAP. I want something beautiful and awesome ASAP. And if it's okay, well, now it's going to be another year, 2 years, when it's something that he's like, oh, I could do this right now. I want to consider that.
Yes.
So just have the conversation and not throw any money at anything until we have that conversation with him.
All right, okay. How do you feel about that, Michelle? I mean, I think what I'm hearing you say is, let's not use grant funds for Will, but let's explore maybe 1% for art funds for that, or are you?
Yeah, I just think that, like, if we're basing it solely off of the application, because like, I feel like we don't know the other applicants as well, and that's why we're like going towards someone who we're more familiar with. But if we were like just purely looking from the application standpoint, we couldn't say that like Will's project is more defined or like has.
Michelle, you voted high for Janae. Is there any other artists here that we need to come back and have another conversation about? I know you won't be here, but is there somebody that you would like for us to talk more about? Do you remember Janae? I'm trying to look at your scores. Yes, 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 maybe yes. So, so Janae is a Grammy Award winner, prioritizing BIPOC women, underserving. This you're familiar with which one this is. Violetta, you said yes. This is a like a Tibetan group, I think. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Bulgarian, yeah.
Bulgarian. Ching In Chen. That was a. I don't.
I don't think like any of the ones I said yes to, I think are like deserving of the funds. I don't really have like a preference as to which ones. Like I think they could have like a strong community impact, and I'd like to see what they're gonna do. I don't really care so much, like not that I don't care, but like I think all of them would have like something to bring. I just think like I don't know Will, and from his application, just purely based on that, I don't know what he's bringing. Like, yes, we can discuss what he could do, but if you asked any of the other applicants and was like, oh, could you change this thing? I'm sure they could also work out an agreement with the city as well. So I think it's unfair just to talk to him and be like, can we work something out? Just because like we know his history and we know what he's done for other cities. Because like this was, I feel like kind of to support artists. And since he is like already a well-established artist, I don't think it's like fair to give him that advantage.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so we will move on. By moving on, since it is 8:02 and we are out of time, I ask for a motion to move the rest of the agenda to a future meeting because we just can't do it. We're kind of outside of our bylaws by 2 minutes already, so.
I motion to move the rest of the meeting to the future meeting because we can't do it.
Do we know when we are meeting next?
Third Thursday in June, so.
Again, it's gonna be 6 PM? Yes. Yeah, okay. And I do have
June 20th.
ongoing meetings on Thursdays that ends at 6:15. So, again, for the next meeting, I'm probably gonna be late.
Okay, no worries.
So we do have a motion, so we do need a second. Wow, we've got a. Any discussion on that? No? All in favor of moving all the remaining items to a future meeting?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that is unanimous, thank you.
And then Holly made
Okay.
a motion to adjourn.
Yes, so before I do that, I do want to just take 1 second and say thank you to Michelle for her service on our Arts Commission.
Thank you, Michelle.
We wish you all the best with graduation and your summer plans and wish you all the best of luck in your college career at Penn. So thank you. I also do want to say congratulations also, I know Jaden's not here, but congratulations to Jaden graduating as well. We get to keep Jaden for. So best wishes to you. I hope you'll stay in touch and let us know how things are going.
Thank you so much. I'll be sure to like try and make every event that I'm.
Oh, you're good.
I'm really excited to see everything.
On that note, can we have a motion to adjourn? Would you like to do?
A motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, our vote to adjourn the May 16th, 2024 meeting. All in favor? Unanimous? Any opposed? No? Okay, thank you all. We will see almost everyone at the June 20th meeting. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, and special thanks to Hillary for leading the meeting.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
All right,
Have a
see you
good
guys later.
evening.
Okay, bye.